Hello everyone, it's Sabrina from Feng Shui and Prosper. And on today's Feng Shui chat, Feng Shui live stream, there's actually a few small topics that I wanted to talk about, but there is one specific one that I want to call out. Now, some of you guys who've been following me on Facebook or on Instagram, you saw the picture of my office, my work desk that I built my business from, right? It's a simple old sewing table base with a wooden plank at the top, and that is my work desk that has helped me build a six-figure business. And so, because a lot of you guys are very curious about how I do my feng shui at home, and understandably so, right? Which is why over the next few weeks I'm going to start sharing a little bit about my placements. But what you will start realizing is really you can't tell that I've feng shuied my home. And this is exactly how I've done the feng shui for my private clients. And some of you guys who have taken my annual webinars, like the Feng Shui 2018, actually some of you have been following me since Feng Shui 2014, since my very first annual webinar, you will realize that a lot of the placement recommendations that I have actually are not Chinese looking objects, right? And that really is the power of real feng shui, in that, and this is something that my retail store clients and my corporate clients really, really love, because you don't want to announce to the world that you're doing feng shui, right? For some of you, it's something that's kind of, not to say taboo, or maybe you just don't want your friends and family to know that you're doing it. But really, in classical feng shui, the most powerful thing you can ever do, most powerful thing, is to make sure that your location and your direction is prosperous. Now, where my work desk is concerned, it's in a prosperous location, right? And a prosperous direction, meaning the way when I'm sitting, what direction am I facing? Now, in my title today, I talked about the command position, or we will talk a little bit about the command position. What is this command position? It is so popular out there, and unfortunately, it is serving a lot of you guys very negatively if you follow that. I'll go into details a little bit. But what is the command position? In case you haven't done enough research or reading up on fast food feng shui, if you haven't come to this term, the command position is where you're supposedly the best desk position or bed position is for you to sit where you have a line of sight to the door. Okay, that's the command position. I will argue that is not always the most supportive way for you to place your bed, or even for you to place your work desk, or even your study desk, wherever you're sitting. Now, this gets a little bit tricky because, and those of you guys who have been studying with me in terms of classical feng shui, it's hard for me to do like a generalized thing, right? Because every layout, every home has a different set of energy to work with. So let's say if you're sitting in a command position, okay, and let's say you're sitting and let's say you're a CEO. You're at your office. You're sitting at your desk. You have the line of sight to your door, right? Either to your right or to your left, doesn't really matter. Okay, but what if that desk has you facing north or facing northwest 1 this year? Those of you who follow me, you will know what happens if you're facing northwest 1 in 2018. What's going to happen if you're facing north in 2018, right? As the CEO of a company, you're actually putting yourself, doesn't matter what the command position is, you're actually putting yourself in the most negative 2 directions for this year. Northwest 1 is the Grand Duke direction. You never want to sit facing the Grand Duke. And the North this year has the number 5. You don't want to sit facing that either. And in fact, actually I'm going to throw a 3rd direction. You don't want to be facing the East, because this year the East has the number 7, the flying star, right? So hello everyone, welcome, welcome. So that's the thing. Do you want to follow a generalized guideline, or do you want, because I'm sure everyone wants better results with their feng shui placements, you really need to drill down, at the very least, very least, to the annual energy. What is the energy of the year? What's the most auspicious energy that I can face? What is the most negative energy that I can face? Right? On the flip side, well, we knew Northwest 1, North, and the East is negative for 2018. Those of you who did Feng Shui 2018, I'm going to test you right now. Put it as a comment on Facebook. What are the auspicious, at least for this year, what are the auspicious directions for this year that you can face as an option? Let's see if anyone gets it right. It's a little bit tricky, actually. Okay, Jacqueline says south. Yes, south is an option. Who else wants to chime in? Cynthia says southeast. Yes. Northwest, but only Northwest 2 and Northwest 3. Okay. And center, well, center is kind of, there's no direction per se for the center, Cynthia. So that kind of, we're not going to do that. So southeast, you can do south. You can kind of do southwest. And northwest, but only if it's Northwest 2 and 3. Okay? So if you guys don't know what I mean by Northwest 1, 2, and 3, the compass has 360 degrees. And in classical feng shui, there's the 24 mountain, meaning the 360 degrees in the compass is divided into to 24 equal parts. So every mountain, remember there's 24 mountains, so every mountain has 15 degrees. Okay? So that's what I mean. Like, I've been looking at a lot of questions that you guys either sent to me or sent to other, online forums and all that, with regards to, my qua number is such and such, but that's not my command position. What do I do? What do? You don't look at placements based on your qua number, at least not for do it yourself. Like you guys, you should not do it based on your qua number, and forget about the command position, because the command position actually could have you facing the wrong direction. So if you guys who are still a little bit skeptical, okay, if you're still a little bit skeptical, that's okay, because I'm all about the right feng shui will give you results. At least you start feeling a little bit better, right? And then you're going to start seeing the external shift. For you guys who don't believe me, if you're currently facing north or east, this year, you tell me, at work or at home, if you're sleeping and when you get up and you're looking east or you're looking north, tell me now, how's your experience so far this year, right? I'm not saying it has to be like totally catastrophic. Maybe astrologically you have some good luck going for you, right? But you might find that, my gosh, I've been working so much, I really should be a little bit more further ahead, but I'm not, right? Or maybe you're making money, but that money keeps flowing out. That's one way of knowing. So if you're facing north or facing east, thanks to your command position, Switch it and see how it feels. Now, we're only looking at the annual energy. We're not even talking about the permanent energy. That's something that's out of the scope of a live stream like this, right? But I beg of you, if you guys are doing your feng shui placements based on command position and it's not working for you, stop doing it. And that's another thing that I don't get in that, and feel free to question me, question any other experts in feng shui and whatever, right? But if something that you're doing is not working, stop doing it, because you're not going to get a different result. Okay? And you know, it's like if you're trying to log in online, let's say to your, I don't know, your tax account or whatever, you're trying to log online and you type in your password, it won't let you in. You type in the same password, it won't let you in. You type in the same password again, you type in the same password 50 times, it won't let you in. And then you go back and you realize you typed one word or one letter wrong. Right? That's the same thing with feng shui. If you follow what you read in the books, if you follow what you read, even honestly speaking, a lot of online feng shui experts, I'm sorry, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay? Being very frank here. If what you're following, especially in terms of fast food feng shui, is not giving you any sort of result, and in fact, might have made things worse, you need to rethink your feng shui strategy. Okay. So that's pretty much it, my little rant with regards to command position. If you guys have any other questions with related to that, feel free to let me know. But that really is what I wanted to, the little tidbit that I wanted you guys to start letting go. There's a lot of feng shui myths out there, feng shui lies. They're lies. They're absolutely outright lies. Regurgitated stuff, right? One expert sees this in another expert's article or a book and adopts that. It just gets consumed and spat out without really giving people the solid historical results to base it on. Okay, so I'm sorry that classical feng shui is complicated. I'm sorry classical feng shui is not, oh, buy one thing, place it somewhere, buy a dragon, buy a golden dragon, or buy 8 horses, 8 running horses, or buy 8 heavenly deities, or buy a picture of a mountain and put it behind you and everything will be great. All those symbolism stuff don't work. And this command position thing does not work. Okay, so that's my rant. All right, I don't see any other questions from you guys. I'm just going to end it here. Have a great one. Take care.